In a country as advanced as the United States, with elite investigators, cutting-edge surveillance, and a powerful legal system, people can still vanish, without a single trace. Late-night emergency calls, footprints leading into the woods, and suddenly stopping. Faces that fade over the years, with no one knowing where they are, or what really happened. Some cases leave no clues, no suspects, no bodies, only questions that have never been answered. In today's video, we'll explore the most haunting mysteries in American history, strange disappearances, unexplained deaths, and chilling crimes that remain unsolved to this day. Are you ready to begin? Let's begin with the strange case of a young man who vanished into the dark and never came back. In the early hours of May 14, 2008, a 19-year-old college student named Brandon Swanson vanished without a trace in rural Minnesota. He wasn't running from anyone. He wasn't into drugs or crime. He wasn't depressed. He was simply trying to drive home. And then, he was gone. His last words on the phone? "Oh shit!" Brandon had just finished the spring semester at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. That night, he celebrated with some friends. Around midnight, he left the party and began driving home to Marshall, a 30-minute drive away. But somewhere along the way, he drove into a ditch. Unhurt, but stranded, he called his parents for help. It was 1:54 a.m. Brandon told his dad he thought he was near the town of Lind. His father, Brian Swanson, drove out to find him while staying on the phone. For nearly 47 minutes, father and son tried to locate each other. Brandon flashed his headlights. His dad did the same, but neither could see the other. Eventually, Brandon said he'd walk towards some lights he saw in the distance, thinking it was Lind. Then suddenly, oh shit, the line went dead. Brandon was never heard from again. At first, police didn't take the case seriously. He was 19, they said. Maybe he ran off. Maybe he was just upset. But Brandon's parents knew better. He wasn't the type to disappear. Days later, they found his car abandoned in a ditch near Taunton, 25 miles from where he said he was. Meaning, he wasn't even close to Lind. Had Brandon gotten lost? Or was he lying about where he was? Search dogs traced Brandon's scent for over 3 miles through fields, fences, and gravel roads. At one point, the dogs led searchers to the edge of the Yellow Medicine River, then lost the trail. Authorities believe he may have fallen into the river and drowned, but no body was ever recovered. They drained parts of the river, searched for weeks. Nothing. Some believe Brandon mistook farm lights or grain silos for the town of Lind and walked in the wrong direction, straight into the middle of nowhere. Others think he was injured in the dark, tripping into a ravine or attacked by wildlife. A darker theory? He was abducted after the call ended. But if that's true, who took him? Why? And how did they erase all evidence? In the years since Brandon's disappearance, Minnesota passed the Brandon's Law, requiring police to act immediately when adults are reported missing under suspicious circumstances. Brandon's parents still drive the back roads, searching, hoping. His final words still haunt those who know the case. Oh shit. One second he was there, the next, he was gone. Brandon's story leaves behind only questions and heartbreak. But sometimes, the mystery isn't about someone disappearing, it's about someone escaping, in midair. Let's rewind back to 1971 and meet the man who jumped from the sky and into legend, D.B. Cooper. On November 24, 1971, a man in a black suit boarded Flight 305, calmly sipping whiskey and smoking like any regular passenger. But minutes later, he would become the most mysterious skyjacker in U.S. history, and he would never be caught. Dan Cooper, later misreported as D.B. Cooper, was linked to the strangest skyjacking in American history. On the evening of November 24, 1971, Cooper boarded a Northwest Orient Boeing 727 in Portland, Oregon. He paid cash, showed no ID, and carried only a black briefcase. About 30 minutes after takeoff, Cooper handed a note to a flight attendant. Thinking it was his number, she ignored it, until he leaned in and whispered, "Miss, you'd better read that note. I have a bomb." Inside his briefcase were wires and red sticks resembling dynamite. His demands: $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes. No police upon landing in Seattle. FBI, the airline, and local police complied to protect the 36 passengers. Once the plane landed, Cooper received his money in parachutes, then demanded a flight to Mexico City. But his instructions were strange. Fly low at around 10,000 feet. Keep landing gear and rear staircase deployed. Fly as slowly as possible. As the plane crossed Washington State in heavy rain at 8:13 p.m., Cooper opened the rear staircase and jumped. With a parachute and the cash in hand, he vanished into the night. No one, not even the FBI, ever saw him again. The FBI launched the largest manhunt in its history. Helicopters, search dogs, and agents combed the forests. Hundreds of Coopers were questioned. They analyzed fingerprints, paper types, and serial numbers. In 1980, a boy found decaying bills near the Columbia River, matching Cooper's ransom. But no body, no parachute, no clues. Some believe Cooper was a military veteran with parachuting skills. He might have died in the rugged terrain, or escaped to Canada to live a quiet life. Richard McCoy, a man who staged a similar hijacking, was a key suspect, but evidence fell short. Cooper's tale became pop culture gold, inspiring books, movies, and conspiracy theories. Many see him as a daring anti-hero, a legend. But to the FBI, he's a blemish on their record, the one who got away. Nearly 50 years later, D.B. Cooper remains aviation's greatest unsolved mystery. Did he die that night? Or is he still among us? What do you think? One man vanished midair, but the next case takes us into the heart of a family tragedy. A 6-year-old girl, beauty queen, found murdered in her home, and no one knows who did it. Let's unravel the haunting case of JonBenét Ramsey, a 6-year-old girl with golden hair, a radiant smile, and a sparkling tiara. Just hours after Christmas night, JonBenét Ramsey was found dead in the basement of her own home. The police, the media, and the entire nation were shaken. Who could do this to a child, and why? More than 25 years have passed, and the mystery remains unsolved. JonBenét. Patricia Ramsey was born in 1990 and lived in Boulder, Colorado. She was the daughter of John Ramsey, a software executive, and Patsy Ramsey, a former Miss West Virginia. From an early age, JonBenét competed in child beauty pageants, frequently appearing on TV and in magazines. On December 25, 1996, the Ramsey family celebrated Christmas at home. Early the next morning, December 26th, Patsy Ramsey woke up to get ready for a trip. She went downstairs and found a handwritten ransom note, 2.5 pages long. The writer claimed to be part of a small foreign faction and demanded $118,000, the exact amount of John's Christmas bonus. Patsy frantically called 911 at 5:52 a.m. Police arrived minutes later. Despite the house being a potential crime scene, officers didn't secure it properly, allowing friends and neighbors to enter. 7 hours later, John Ramsey went into the basement with a friend and found JonBenét's body. She was bound, had duct tape over her mouth, and suffered a severe head wound. The autopsy showed JonBenét had been struck on the head and strangled. Semen was found on her clothing, but the DNA didn't match anyone in the family. The ransom note was unusually long and included phrases resembling movie dialogue. Many experts believe the note was written after the murder, to mislead investigators. The Ramsey family came under intense suspicion. One controversial theory suggested Burke, JonBenét's brother, hit her over an argument, and the parents staged the scene. Despite no solid evidence, many continued to suspect them. In 2008, advanced DNA testing confirmed the evidence did not belong to the Ramsey family. they were officially cleared. But no suspect was ever arrested. The JonBenét Ramsey case symbolizes an America obsessed with fame and media frenzy. People still wonder, was it an intruder or someone from within? Over 25 years have passed, but JonBenét's death remains a haunting mystery. The killer is still at large. If the murder of a child left the country in mourning, the next case sent it into terror. A killer who taunted the police with codes, letters, and a body count. This is the Zodiac Killer. He didn't just kill, he turned murder into a mind game. With a sun-like zodiac symbol, strange coded letters, and a mocking attitude toward the police. The Zodiac Killer haunted America throughout the late 1960s. He claimed to have killed at least 37 people, but his identity remains a mystery to this day. On December 20th, 1968, high school sweethearts David Faraday and Betty Lou Jensen were shot to death while parked on a lover's lane in suburban Vallejo, California. 6 months later, another couple, Darlene Ferrin and Michael Mageau, were shot in a parking lot. Michael survived and described the shooter as a white male, around 30 to 40 years old, wearing black-rimmed glasses. On August 1st, 1969, 3 major newspapers in Northern California received letters from someone claiming to be the killer. Each letter included a 408-character cipher filled with strange symbols. In one, he wrote, "I like killing people because it's so much fun." He signed with a circle and cross symbol, the Zodiac's mark. A few days later, a teacher couple cracked the first cipher, but it revealed no identity, just a disturbing confession. On September 27, 1969, college students Brian Hartnell and Cecilia Shepard were picnicking at Lake Berryessa when a masked man approached them. He wore a shirt with the Zodiac symbol, tied them up, and stabbed Cecilia 10 times and Brian 6 times. Brian survived and described the killer as calm and articulate. 2 weeks later, Zodiac shot cab driver Paul Stein in the upscale Presidio Heights neighborhood of San Francisco, right in the heart of the city. A devastating mistake occurred. Police initially described the suspect as black, despite witnesses clearly stating he was white. As a result, 2 officers actually spoke to Zodiac on the street, but let him go. Days later, Zodiac taunted them in a letter. "2 cops spoke with me 3 minutes after I killed. I just walked away." Between 1969 and 1974, Zodiac sent over 20 letters to the media and police. Some ciphers remain unsolved, like Z340, which was only partially decoded in 2020 after 51 years. In the letters, Zodiac claimed to have killed 37 people, but only 5 victims have been confirmed. He regularly mocked authorities. "You'll never catch me. I leave no clues. I'm smarter than all of you." Over 1,500 suspects have been investigated by the FBI. One major suspect was Arthur Lee Allen, who had a criminal history, lived near the crime scenes, and was suspected by acquaintances. However, his DNA and handwriting didn't match. In 2021, a private team called the Casebreakers claimed Zodiac was Gary F. Post, a deceased Air Force veteran. But the FBI has not confirmed it due to lack of solid evidence. The Zodiac Killer, a brilliant cold-blooded murderer who played cat and mouse with all of America. He may be dead, or still living among us as an ordinary citizen. Whoever he is, the truth about Zodiac may forever remain buried in the shadows. Decades passed, and the Zodiac faded into shadow. But in a small town in Indiana, 2 young girls went for a walk and never returned. A grainy photo and a haunting voice are all we have. This is the Delphi Murders. On a quiet afternoon, 2 young girls walked hand in hand across an old wooden bridge in a small Indiana town. They laughed, they took photos, and then vanished. That evening, no one could have imagined the girls would never return. Even more terrifying, the killer was recorded on video and audio, and yet, years later, his identity remains a mystery. On February 13, 2017, Liberty German, 14, and Abigail Williams, 13, asked their families for permission to go hiking in a local park. They headed to the Monon High Bridge, a well-known abandoned wooden bridge in Delphi, Indiana. At 2:07 p.m., Libby took a photo of Abby and posted it to Snapchat. It would be the last image ever shared. By 5 p.m., the girls could no longer be reached. A small-scale search began and continued through the night. The next morning, February 14th, the bodies of Abby and Libby were discovered not far from the bridge. Police never revealed the cause of death, only calling the scene disturbing. To this day, the details remain sealed. The shocking twist: in her final moments, Libby secretly recorded the suspect on her phone. Police recovered a brief video showing a man walking across the bridge, and a chilling audio clip of a deep voice saying, "Guys, down the hill." That voice, that walk, that blurry figure, caught in broad daylight, but still unidentified to this day. In 2017, police released the first sketch, a middle-aged man in a cap. But in 2019, they changed direction and revealed a second sketch, this time of a younger man with curly hair and an average appearance. Authorities stated, "He may live within the Delphi community. He may have continued life as if nothing happened. He may have attended the victims' funerals, read online comments, even joined the search." Over 5 years, more than 40,000 tips poured in. Many suspects were questioned, but no arrests were made until October 2022. A man named Richard Allen, who lived just minutes from the crime scene, was suddenly taken into custody. He had previously told police he was at the bridge that day, but was ignored. Allen worked as a pharmacy technician, had a wife and child, and led a seemingly normal life for years. Though Richard Allen was arrested, the case remains unresolved. The trial has been delayed multiple times. His defense argues, the evidence is weak. Another person may be the real killer. Some believe there was more than one attacker. Others think the man in the video and the voice clip might be two different people. As of today, no one has been officially convicted for the murders of Abby and Libby. Two innocent girls walked beneath the soft light of an afternoon sun, but their final steps led to a horrifying crime the world still struggles to comprehend. Years have passed, yet the questions remain. Who killed Abby and Libby? And is justice ever too late? The next mystery takes us from the woods to the city. In 2001, a man died in a New York hotel room with no ID, no past, and no one looking for him. Who was he, and why did no one claim him? On June 13, 2001, a man was found dead inside room 517 of the luxurious Plaza Hotel in Kansas City. No ID, no known identity. No one ever came to claim him. Inside his wallet were only cash and a piece of paper with strange characters. 20 years have passed, and his death remains unsolved. Who was he? And why did he choose such a mysterious end? He checked in under the name James William Lacey, but provided no identification. He paid in cash, no phone number, no address, no emergency contact. When housekeeping found his body, the door was locked from the inside. No signs of struggle, no drugs, no gunshot wounds, no stabbings. Cause of death, never determined. Inside the room, police discovered a small note containing a strange alphanumeric code. XLH19 7 RT 882 KS May. Was it a cipher? A message from an organization? A final farewell? No one could decode it. Fingerprints, facial recognition, dental records, nothing matched any national databases. Amateur investigators offered bold theories. He may have been a failed spy, choosing suicide to protect secrets, or a fugitive from a criminal organization, eliminated with undetectable poison, but there were no toxins, no wounds, no trace of foul play. He simply stopped living. The FBI stepped in, hoping to match him with thousands of missing person cases, but after a decade of searching, the man was officially labeled unidentified, one of America's strangest, unsolved mysteries. On his grave, it simply reads, John Doe, Kansas City, 2001. A man who came from nowhere and left without a single answer. Some people live their whole lives unnoticed, and when they vanish, the world never even realizes. But the death at Plaza Hotel continues to stir curiosity. If he knew he would die, why leave behind a code? Or was it a final message, meant for someone the world could never understand? Sometimes the mystery isn't about who died, but about who pretended to be alive. Let's uncover the eerie case of the man who stole the name of a dead boy and lived a lie for decades. When he took his own life in the summer of 2002, police assumed he was just a lonely old man, nameless, with no relatives. But when they checked his documents, they discovered his identity was fake. The real Joseph Newton Chandler III had died in 1945, at the age of 8. This man had lived for 20 years under the name of a dead child. So who was he? And what was he hiding from? On July 30th, 2002, Joseph Newton Chandler III was found dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound in a small apartment in Eastlake, Ohio. He had no family, no friends. No one in the building really knew him. Before his death, he had withdrawn all the money from his bank account, sealed off every window with duct tape, and left behind strange handwritten notes. When investigators checked the records, they discovered that the real Joseph Newton Chandler III had died in a car accident in 1945. The man in Ohio had stolen the identity from public archives, opened a bank account, got a job, and lived like a ghost. No fingerprints matched any records. No family came forward. No one claimed the body. The FBI stepped in, hoping DNA could reveal his true identity. But his DNA didn't match anyone in the national database. No social media, no medical records, no academic history. Everything about him was a fabrication. Some believed he might be a fugitive war criminal, a murderer on the run, or even a Cold War spy. But there was no evidence to support any theory. It wasn't until 2018 that investigators used a powerful tool, genetic genealogy, the same method used to catch the Golden State Killer. And finally, they uncovered his real identity, Robert Ivan Nichols, a U.S. Navy veteran who served in World War II. He had faked his own death, cut off contact with his family, and vanished in 1965. Even though his name was finally revealed, the biggest questions remained. What was Robert Nichols running from? What had he done between 1965 and 2002? Had he committed any crimes? No one knows. He took those secrets to the grave, leaving behind a mystery that may never be solved. Our final case brings us back to the theme of vanishing. A young woman crashes her car in the snow and then disappears without a trace. This is the haunting mystery of Maura Murray, a beautiful, intelligent college student with a bright future. She drove alone into the snowy mountains, had a car accident, and then vanished without a trace. No blood, no cries for help, no phone. 20 years have passed, and no one knows where Maura Murray went, or why. Maura Murray, born in 1982, was a nursing student in her sophomore year at the University of Massachusetts. She had been a top student, an athlete, and even attended West Point. But in the days leading up to her disappearance, her behavior became strange. She was seen crying during a shift, emailed professors about a sudden family emergency, cleaned out her dorm and packed her belongings, looked up directions to Vermont, and booked a hotel under an alias. What was going on with this young woman? On February 9, 2004, Maura left campus around 4 p.m. in her black Saturn. She withdrew $280 from an ATM, bought some alcohol and snacks, then drove north, heading into the mountains of New Hampshire. No one knew where she was going. She told no one, not her boyfriend, friends, or family. It was a journey with no goodbye. Around 7:30 p.m., a resident in Haverhill called the police after spotting a car that had slid off the snowy road. By the time officers arrived, Maura was gone. Inside the car, a broken bottle of liquor, signs of a minor crash, gloves, books, personal items, but no phone, no wallet, and no footprints in the snow. Despite search dogs and helicopters, not a single trace was found. Theories around Maura's disappearance remain controversial. She ran away to start a new life. She took her own life under pressure. She was abducted, maybe even by someone who tried to help her. Police investigated her boyfriend, roommate, and even her father, but found no evidence. Some claimed a mysterious car followed Maura that day, but it was never confirmed. After the crash, Maura's phone was never used again. No calls for help, no farewell texts, no bank activity after that day. For nearly 2 decades, no one has seen her. Rumors placed her in Canada, in psychiatric hospitals, or living under a new identity, but none were ever confirmed. In 2021, Maura's family organized a new search near the crash site. They suspected a body buried beneath the concrete basement of a nearby house, but found nothing. Despite public pressure, New Hampshire police still label this a possible voluntary disappearance, not a homicide. One girl, one car, one empty road on a snowy night, and then nothing. Maura Murray left no note, no goodbye, no trace. What really happened that night? Was it an escape, a crime, or something far stranger? Perhaps only Maura knows the answer. So many questions, so few answers. From the chilling letters of the Zodiac Killer, to the empty highway where Brandon Swanson vanished, and the haunting Christmas night when JonBenét was found lifeless in her own home. These cases remain unsolved, not just in files, but in the hearts of millions who still wonder what truly happened. Somewhere out there, the truth exists. Maybe someone knows. Maybe one clue is still waiting to be found. Until then, these mysteries will continue to whisper from the shadows, waiting to be uncovered.